Release the Kraken.
Germany?
I'm smart. I'm like everybody says. Like dumb. I'm smart. I'm smart. I'm smart.
At 1-866-763-1242. Jiggy Jaguar, Jiggy Jaguar.
You are not the fire.
Jiggy Jaguar at JiggyJaguar.com. At 1-866-763-1242.
I'm the boogeyman, and I'm coming to get you.
Jiggy Jaguar,
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
It gets me so hot.
JiggyJaguar.com.
Who do you have to fuck to get a hot dog in this dump?
God damn. Jiggy Jaguar,
Germany.
Jiggy Jaguar at JiggyJaguar.com.
Germany.
Jerkwad?
Germany.
My mother thanks you. My father thanks you. My sister thanks you. My mother thanks you. My father thanks you. My sister thanks you. My mother thanks you. My father thanks you. My sister thanks you. And I thank you.
Jiggy Jaguar on the air.
Look at that. It is the world famous Jiggy Jaguar show, coast to coast and border to border. We're like coast to coast like butter and toast. I finally got that line right. It is the world famous Jiggy Jaguar show from JiggyJaguar.com, and today changes are in the air, but I can't say anything quite yet.
The Big Show.
The Big Show. We're back.
Where
and
did
running.
that come from? I think it came from you just saying, and we'll be back next on The Big Show.
That's right.
And I just took that from
You just
that.
kind of took it and ran
And
with it.
The Big Show. The Big Show. Look here. All you pukes out there, you Willie Parkses, and you Thomas Lambs, the Lamb of Gods, the Lamb
Thomas
of the
had
Gods,
a little lamb.
like chariots of the gods. Yes, you can try to do what we do, but give it up. I mean, you don't know what you're doing. You can't, and you shouldn't, but you try, and try as you will, you fail. As we succeed, as we continue to do innovative, grandiose, and grotesque.
Grandiose and grotesque. Now, this week on the world famous Jiggy Jaguar show, we have a interesting couple of guests. We have an Elvis expert we're going to be calling in mere moments. We're going to try to stump our Elvis expert today. We have
our own Elvis
shirt
expert.
Is just hideous. We've got I'm looking at myself on but this shirt is just hideous. I need to burn this thing. We've got the band Shiner. They're going to be in the building today.
Shiner?
Shiner. They're going to be playing an acoustic thing for us.
Like Shriner, but without the R.
Yes, indeed.
Like you get a Shiner when Mike Tyson.
Pretty much.
Hit you, and you're not really qualified even to fight him.
We've got the Steve Palmer Band, the first and exclusive interview with them here on the Big Show in the 3 o'clock hour. And we're going to be talking about all sorts of different things. It's going to be quite an interesting deal. I had an interesting experience with a commissioner at an Applebee's. I don't know if it's city or county, one of the two. Whoever holds the keys to Access's funding.
Really?
We will talk about that later on.
You have not briefed me on this yet.
We'll chat about it. It's going to be incredible. We've got an interesting deal coming up with that as well. I am, of course, Jigman Freud, the Dean of Denigration. We'll start it out that way. And, of course, sitting next to me in the lovely, lovely KJAG Radio Studios is the Michelangelo of video, Ross Long.
That's a good one. It's Ross the Boss, the rabble-rousing ringleader here. I have to say that slow. I've tried to say it fast. Ross the Boss, the rabble-rousing ringleader.
It just doesn't work.
I said it there. No, it worked.
Now,
and Ross, for our new viewers, which we get hundreds sometimes every new week.
Hell of a
Because people
deal.
tell their friends and they say, "Oh man, if you're drunk on Sunday, this is the thing to watch."
If you're drunk on Sunday, it's the thing to watch. You can email us. Go to our website, JiggyJaguar.com. The all-new designed redesigned JiggyJaguar.com. It had a brand new theme. It was looking really cool. It had all the stuff. And then I went and double-checked the theme on another computer of mine, and the theme was too big for the screen, so I had to switch back to a smaller theme, which was our old theme. So really, the website might be brand new, might be updated, but it kind of looks the same. We've got, you can also call us 1-866-763-1242, or you can go to JiggyJaguar.com. I am in the book, ladies and gentlemen, Radio Wants You, an intimate portrait of 700 radio shows that welcome guests. And I'm on page 69, ironically, which is kind of funny. We've got our Elvis expert we're going to be calling here in mere moments. This guy is a he is a big Elvis expert. He knows everything about Elvis.
And
Ross is a huge Elvis guy.
Well, I'm not a huge Elvis guy. I've been Elvis sometimes is an acquired taste, but I hope to, with the help of this guy who I don't know who we're calling, his name is what again?
Paul Diano. No.
No, oh, God.
No, that is tomorrow night at the Muse. We'll talk about that later. This segment of the world-famous Jiggy Jaguar show brought to you by our good friends at, well, might as well get it out of the way right now, Skype. Ironically, we're calling him on the phone, which is kind of strange. But yeah, our buddies at Skype. You can make normal phone calls through your computer. You can call normal thrones. Normal thrones. That's right. You can call
like Elvis's throne.
Like Elvis's throne. There you go. Nice segue. Thank you for the savior on that one. Anywhere in the world with low rates, it's Skype. You can go to JiggyJaguar.com. We have a banner that constantly rotates on JiggyJaguar.com for Skype.
Now it's up. The Jiggy Jag. I checked it last night. It was not up. It is up now.
Yeah, it's up. It's up now because yeah, it's fun. We've got
and people can see us live stream that way.
They can see us on live stream.
You can also see us at livestream.com/JiggyJaguar.
And you can also go to our Facebook page. Our Facebook page, you can
That's
watch
right.
us
You
on
widgeted
Skype.
that one, didn't you? You widgeted it?
I widgeted it.
Okay.
Hopefully Steve picks up the horn. Hey, Steve, what's going on? It's Jiggy Jag out of Salina, Kansas. How you doing on this fabulous Sunday, my friend? Hello? Steve?
Yeah.
Steven, it's Jiggy Jag out of Salina, Kansas. I was giving you a holler. You're on the radio right now, my friend. How are you doing?
We're on the radio right now.
Yes,
okay?
indeed. We are live as live can get, my friend.
Okay, well, we actually have a little bit of snow coming down here in Montgomery, Alabama now, so...
Okay.
Really?
Somewhat of a rarity, yeah. It's light.
It's balmy here compared to there, and we're north of you.
Yeah. This is rare for us.
Now, you are Elvis expert. Give us a little bit on your background, my friend. How do you come antiquated to the king?
Well, first off, I started out as a long-time Elvis fan, of course. A student watching and listening and so on and so forth. And then as I grew older, I started really researching a lot of things. And capsule story, shortly before Elvis died, I started going to a couple of concerts, got to know a couple of guys in the group, and it just sort of, I never went through any other musical stages, so I was always reading, watching, or listening to Elvis.
Now, you have a website, and I believe it's elvisontheair.com, correct?
Correct, yes.
Now, what can people find over there at the fabulous website, elvisontheair.com?
Well, I'll tell you, mainly it's intended for radio stations and people interested in booking me, and explains how the show works and how to sell it and so on and so forth. But it does give a little background on, the Elvis thing. And of course, one thing too, we need to mention this too right off the bat. I also managed the Sweet Inspirations, who, of course, was Elvis's female backup on stage. And we had early Christmas morning, the passing of Myrna Smith, who was one of the original members. She died after a lengthy battle with a problem with kidneys and so on and so forth. Ended up having a stroke, but anyway, she passed away the other morning. So she's the one. I don't know if you remember that ended up marrying Jerry Schilling, who worked for Elvis. Shortly after Elvis died, they of course dated while Elvis was alive. But just wanted to mention that we want to remember Myrna. She was really a great addition to the Elvis world.
And that is strange. I'm wondering, Mrs. Ross, this is Jiggy's cohort here on the show. I'm kind of wondering that almost begs the question, as Elvis has gone off to his reward, how many of Elvis's people that way, particularly that he's performed with, have gone on? I mean, I hear just every few months another one seems to die that way. I'm just kind of wondering where some of the numbers are at. How many are left?
Well, yeah, I don't have an exact number for you, but earlier this year, Sylvia Shimwell, another one of the original Swedes, passed away. Here, of course, several years ago, J.D. Sumner,
yes.
The Stamps Quartet, passed away, and of course, he and Elvis were always an item. Colonel Parker, of course, is gone, but a lot of these guys are still going, albeit older and maybe at a slower pace. I mean, even Scotty Moore and DJ Fontana are still, making appearances and doing trips. Matter of fact, I talked to DJ yesterday, and he's up in Baltimore on a gig right now. The Imperials, even though they're not all originals, two of them are, they're still going at it. The Stamps Quartet is still out there with one original. So, things, I was talking about this with a friend the other day. Name me one other entertainer in the history of entertainment of any kind, movie, records, stage. I mean, over 30 years after his passing, and someone who cut his hair back in 1958 is still whisked all over the world to be a guest speaker at conventions and things because he cut Elvis's hair once.
I know. It's
That's just crazy.
Insane. That's why I try to get through to my cohort here how important Elvis was to all of entertainment. There are so many television firsts that Elvis did. It's just, the list just goes on. And like you say today, the estate makes some, $50 million a year or something? It's just...
Yeah, and that's pretty much just U.S. revenue. That doesn't include money that's made overseas and so on and so forth. You can really normally just about double that. We're normally responsible here in the U.S. for about half of the take, and the rest of the world. But I can tell you this, from my travels, the Elvis fever and the fervor of it is much amplified whenever you cross an ocean going in any direction. I mean, it's amazing. I'm over in UK quite a bit and Europe, and I mean, there are 8 and 10-year-old kids that can tell you who the key grip in every Elvis movie was. I don't even know what a key grip is.
they've sat there and they've memorized. I can see somebody doing that, but how about that?
I love
that
it.
Begs the question: how about Eastern Europe? I mean, where they basically thought through the years of communism that things like Elvis were subversive. What do they think now? Do you get that same striving for information from the Eastern Bloc of Europe, or
are they just Elvis crazy over there?
Oh yeah, and a lot of that area now is going for a lot of the retro U.S. stuff. I mean, Elvis is naturally one of the big names. China, for example. I mean, there are some Elvis impersonators over there that go over for like a week, and they end up being extended for like 6 months. And for the most part, ticket prices for some of these shows, is what some of these people make in a month.
I
start getting the money for it. Germany, for example, is
Germany.
Well, it's huge with Elvis because they have the claim of Elvis living there and being the only place that Elvis lived other than the U.S. was there in Germany, of course, when he was doing his army stint. So.
Oh well, yeah. I guess they could say that from the late '50s. Yeah, I guess that's a whole nother appreciation crowd. We could call it. One question. Oh gosh, I lost it. Go ahead, Jiggy.
We're speaking with Stephen Christopher from ElvisOnTheAir.com. That's ElvisOnTheAir.com. The legacy of Elvis Presley lives on with millions of Elvis fans, and we're chatting with the Elvis expert, Stephen Christopher, today. Stephen is from Montgomery, Alabama. He's working with all sorts of local radio personalities and all sorts of people across the country with Elvis and reliving the days of Elvis. Stephen, tell me about what Elvis, I guess, means to you.
Man, that's sort of hard to encapsulate into a sense because, except for my father, there is nobody that has had as much influence on my life, naturally, as Elvis has. And I haven't even known him. But he's dictated, what my livelihood has been, where I've gone, who I've seen, in a lot of cases, who I've dated. It's just... It's something that, and when he died, I sort of had the thought there, of course I was sitting on the patio and listening to all the music specials that were on, but up to that point, it was always waiting for the next movie, waiting for the next album, and of course my goal then, I always wanted to see Elvis in Vegas, which I never got to do. But, you had all these goals and dreams, and of course, I met him one time for about 5 seconds, but you had the dream of, he always had sort of that persona of he is attainable. He could be like your next door neighbor, not like a star of another magnitude, even though there was no bigger star than Elvis in the entire world. There was something about him, though. He came across as, the guy next door more than, that unreachable star.
I know exactly what you mean on that. One of our own Elvis expert who was supposed to be here today, but his wife had an emergency. Actually, his wife got to meet Elvis at a benefit concert back in the early 70s, and she just described it, kind of like you. It was maybe just a 5-second meeting, but they had brought her back as one of the organizers of the event to meet Elvis. And they knocked on his dressing room door, and who answers the door but Elvis himself? And it was just a very special moment. I'm sure you could probably expound on your 5-second moment a little bit that way too.
Well, mine was just real simple. Charlie Hodge, who of course was best known for giving Elvis his Water and Scars on stage, sang harmony with him. He was from Decatur, Alabama, he and all his family, and I knew some of them, so it was arranged for me to be down at the hotel when Elvis flew in for his concert here in February of '77, and I was down there, and I saw Elvis come in the door, and he had Ginger Alden, his girlfriend at the time, with him, and they were in the middle of a knockdown, drag-out fight, so I knew right away that any opportunity of a conversation or, and of course, as I know better now about that time period too, it wasn't as easy to get Elvis, in one-on-ones. I mean, earlier in his career, there was no problem. Sometimes fans would be invited up to the room, especially if he took a liking to him. There wasn't a whole lot of that going on in that time period. But for sure, when you're in the middle of a fight with your girlfriend, it's not going to happen. So it was just a quick, hello, how you doing? He did ask me if I had tickets to the show, and I stupidly said yes, because had I said no, was he going to give me some tickets? And would that not have been cooler than having the ones I bought? But
he might have even given you a backstage pass. But that's important.
You
Even
you just never know. But of course, I anxiously said yes. So.
even in the midst of him in the argument with his girlfriend, he was still concerned about his fans. I find that interesting, and was interested. Hey, you coming to the show tonight?
I mean, his love, the biggest love affair in his life, except maybe with his daughter, was with his fans, and that was a lot of the reason, why the guys there in '76. I'm speaking in particular, Red West, Sonny West, Dave Hebler, were let go, and they're the ones that wrote the book Elvis: What Happened. But one of the big reasons why they were let go at that time period was, they were into a lot of stuff themselves of the narcotic level, and they had gotten where, that I'm just going to put it this way, they were less patient with fans than they maybe used to be or should have been. And there were several lawsuits pending against Elvis Presley Enterprises, and a lot of those got talked out of because people just didn't want to sue Elvis, right? But, bloody noses and broken arms and rough treatment and stuff like that, what really facilitated, them being let go. Now, if there's anyone that knows anything about the history of employment with Elvis Presley, almost everybody got fired or left or something at some point in time, and I mean within 3 to 6 months, most of them were back, and those guys probably would have been back. But they started with the book, and they went with the book, and of course, Elvis died right after the release of that. So.
And to add on that, that's not that unusual in the world of entertainment for that kind of thing to happen. People get fired and hired back just pretty much all the time. But
oh yeah. Well, and too, it was a combination of all these guys being basically pin up in a house or hotel rooms or whatever it was, and with the exception of some of the things that they did after hours, I mean, that was their playground. So naturally, they're going to get on each other's nerves a lot quicker than those of us in normal life. They can, leave the house and go to the grocery store or something. That just didn't happen with Elvis. So whatever residence he was in, that was, for the most part, his playground too. So.
We're speaking with Stephen Christopher this week here on the world-famous Jiggy Jaguar show. You can check out more on Stephen at ElvisOnTheAir.com. You've heard him all across the country. You've heard him on such stations as WUSN in Chicago, Illinois, WGLD in Indianapolis, and kind of close to home here, KVOO in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Stephen, tell us about the magic of an Elvis show, because I hear constantly, Ross and our buddy Scott and some of these other people. They are huge Elvis fans. They always talk about, if you got to see an Elvis show, see it. If you've ever seen it live, blah blah blah. What is a Elvis experience like? When you talk to people, what are some of the emotions that they tell you?
Well, I mean, I don't mean this to sound sacrilegious at all, but I'm going to try to say it in a way that's easily understood. I mean,
okay.
I mean, when he comes out on stage, and especially with the build-up of 2001, and here is Elvis Presley. I mean, it's almost like a second coming there for a while, and you're sort of in a. I mean, really, you're sort of in a trance. I mean, you're watching every move and. Listening to things, it's not as casual as, if you're watching somebody in Vegas or something and you're sitting around talking with the people you're sitting with, and, I mean, you're really focused on this, and I mean, it's more of an event than a concert, and it's something that really has a lasting impression on you. Now, of course, as the years went by, there were different shows that did different, some shows were better than others, let's say, but they were all good, and they were all sold out. but I mean, most especially, if I could have seen Elvis at any time when he came back in Vegas there in '69, well, that whole '69 to '73 time period, I mean, he was just so full of energy, you know, looking great, feeling great, sounding great.
He was singing what he wanted, and he had really caught his stride, I felt, is one way to describe it there, Stephen.
Well, if you look at it, Elvis always needed a challenge, okay? When he started, and of course doing and contrary to what a lot of people think, Elvis was not an overnight success. I mean, he spent the better part of a year and a half, close to 2 years of, you know, singing at drugstores and high school gymnasiums and, you know, getting in the car after an 8:30 show or something and driving 300 miles to do something down the road, you know, the next afternoon. And, you know, so you had that stage. Then you had the movies. The movies came after, and of course he was excited about being a movie star. You know, then the Army came and sort of broke things up. One of the dumbest moves that Uncle Sam ever take somebody from making about $400,000, $500,000 a month to $78 a month. That was typical government decision, right? Although they did offer Elvis a couple of outs, which he refused. They offered him special services. He said no. And then they actually offered him an out, and he said no to that also.
And I need to add, he wanted to be treated just like any normal soldier. He went in as a soldier, and that's the way he wanted to be treated, and that's the way he was. And
pretty much.
We got to almost admire him for doing that. Like you said, he had his way outs, but, you know, he had a $500,000 salary a month that he gave up, and he did his duty, so...
And you got to keep in mind, there was no guarantee that it was all going to be there when he came back. I mean, the service has killed a lot of other careers.
Oh, look at all the big bands that broke up. You're right, absolutely,
right,
yes.
Right. But once he came back, then it was back to the movies, recording, so you had a rejuvenated Elvis on that, and of course the fans were still there. But then he got mired in the movies, and no concerts and no live appearances. And, you know, you see sort of, if you know the intricacy of the Elvis story, you know, you see somewhat of a downward trend with Elvis. I mean, it's those movies. Of course, nobody disliked the movies more than Elvis did. But, you know, he did them. And then comes the '68 special, you know, which he was scared to death about. But that was another challenge, and, you know, it ended up being the most watched special of 1968, and of course it was the precursor to him returning to live performances the next year, and he was back on the charts again. Great recording session there in '69 at American Sound Studios. It did, you know, things like Suspicious Minds, In the Ghetto, Don't Cry Daddy. But then once again, he got mired with just the constant, you know, touring, same stuff, just a different city. Well, then comes Aloha from Hawaii, you know, the first attempt at a worldwide satellite concert. Once again, he got himself in really good shape, lost some weight, was looking great, sounding great, and you know, that was a huge hit.
I don't think anybody, not even the space shot, when we landed on the moon, got more viewers than Elvis Aloha of Hawaii, which I think is estimated at 1.5 billion people.
Jesus Christ.
was about half the planet, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
and then it was back to the touring, and then from that point on, there was no challenge. Had something else come up, a world tour, you know, there were a couple of opportunities to do some serious, credible movies, but there was nothing after that, you know, that was above. I mean, he still enjoyed being on stage, but, you know, like I say, I mean, you do a tour for, you know, 2 or 3 weeks. It's basically the same mundane kind of thing. And Elvis always needed a challenge, and that's what he lacked the last few years of his life.
Well, I'll tell you, Elvis. You talk to anybody, coast to coast, border to border. You bring up the name Elvis Presley, they know who he is. They know Elvis in Germany. They know Elvis all over the planet. I was checking out Steven's website earlier this week, ElvisOnTheAir.com, and you've got a lot of pictures under your appearance section. You've got different things that you did in Germany, and the one thing that I think is great here is there's a picture of you talking. It says Steve talking with a German Elvis fan, and her face is just lit up that you're talking about Elvis, and that seems to be the case. Everywhere you go, you talk to anybody, you mention Elvis Presley. If they're a fan, if they're not a fan, they light up. They know who the guy is, and that's phenomenal. It is just a phenomenal thing, my friend.
Well, you're right. Is that the picture where it's the blonde sitting next to my right?
Yes, indeed.
Sitting on my right. Well, I'll tell you, that's one of the fringe benefits of doing what I do. You play the cards you're dealt, right?
I hear you on that, my friend. Now, Ross, do you got anything else for Steven before we let him go? Or?
Well, actually, we got a few questions in, and I just want to see your general knowledge. I hate to try to stump you because I already have great respect for you because you've already given us great information and good responses. But you mentioned Red West. Here's a good question. How many original songs did Red West write that Elvis recorded?
You know, the actual number is escaping me now, but it is somewhere around 7 or 8.
Okay. Scott's information has it at 11. So that blew me over.
Right around too. He didn't follow them himself. Yeah.
Okay. How much money did Elvis raise for the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor?
Well, figures on that vary because it was also because of him that some other money came in. But the figure that's normally attributed to him there at Pearl Harbor is $62,000.
Correct. Okay. Who was the first person?
What you got to remember, though?
Yes.
Here's the behind-the-scenes thing on that. They were trying to get that done over there, and nobody, including the United States or the state of Hawaii, would put up the money to do it. And Carl Parker and Elvis read a newspaper article on this, and it was their idea, and they approached them to do a benefit concert to do it. Now, even though that amount of money that they raised was not enough to actually get it done, both Colonel and Elvis made a personal donation themselves, as did several affluent people on the island. And then it got so much press and so much ball rolling that the United States and the state of Hawaii had no choice but to chip in the rest to make this a finished product. So really and truly, he was responsible for all the money getting raised.
That's we're going to make that a footnote. We're going to get a stenographer and make that a footnote.
Well, you know, even the Aloha from Hawaii special. I mean, that was a total benefit concert for the Kui-Lee Cancer Foundation, and you see Elvis there about the middle of it, you know, proudly and shyly say that, you know, they were asked to raise about $25,000 and ended up raising close to $75,000. Now, of course, he made money on the album and you know the VHS and all that, but the actual concert itself was a total benefit for Kui-Lee Cancer Foundation. Kui-Lee, of course, being a Hawaiian songwriter that wrote "I'll Remember You."
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Me and my piano player used to play that song. That's very interesting. Okay, one last one, a special one. What were the last 2 songs Elvis ever sang? Now, I'm not talking about recordings, and I'll give you a hint.
I know exactly what you're talking about. After he played racquetball,
yes,
with his cousin Billy Smith, his wife Joan, and Chain Melody and Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain.
Perfect. In the right order and everything. So great.
That's amazing stuff. I'll tell you, Stephen. I enjoyed you making some time for us today. We had a hell of a ball with you, my friend. You can get more information on Stephen at elvisontheair.com. And
listen, I'll tell you what. Let's leave your listeners with a question. I'm sure you guys can come up with something, or I can send you passes to Graceland if anyone's going to be heading that way. But I'll give you a question to pass on to your listeners, and after I'm off the air, I can give you the answer to it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right? Just sort of to generate a little afterflow here.
Okay.
Who was Elvis's very first manager? Very first manager.
Wow.
Scott, did you hear that? What? Wait. Say it again.
We got our buddy Scott on the phone.
Scotty, I think we have a winner.
Okay.
Say it one more time, Scott. Scotty Moore.
Scotty Moore. That's
Scotty Moore.
Holy shit.
You won a pair of rubber handcuffs. No. No.
We were waiting to have our buddy Scott in studio today,
But he just called in.
He just called in a second ago and wanted to wanted to get in while the getting was good. So
he got it.
He got it.
Listen, let me propose this.
Okay.
You've been on the website and you see some things and you see how much fun we could have with this. Why don't you bring me in there one day? Now, if you secure a car dealership or something as a big sponsor, then we can do a grand prize attempt once each hour. We'll take a specified caller. They can request any Elvis song ever. If I can't play it for them, Graceland will buy them that car.
Holy shit.
Okay?
Wow.
We might have to do something like that.
Wow. You heard it here first.
3 or 4 hours. We can have 3 or 4 hours of some fun on the air, playing lesser-known songs and the stories behind them. And then you can go out and sell an after party where we'll go and have an Elvis party after we're off the air.
That might be a cool idea. We might be able to get the Stiefel or somebody involved in that. That might be a kind of a cool
Might
deal.
work.
Well, hey, Steven, I will be in touch with you on that, my friend. Definitely.
Check out more at elvisontheair.com.
I appreciate it, Steven. Thanks for doing this, and we'll definitely have you back when we can have Scott in studio, because I think he would get a big buzz off chatting with you, my friend. So we will chat at you soon, my friend. We probably say we get you on next month or a month later or something like that. But we'll chat. I appreciate it, Steven. Thanks for doing this, brother.
All right, guys. I appreciate you having me.
Definitely. Have yourself a good one, Steven.
You too.
All right, later.
Okay, great.
I'll tell you.
We still have Scott.
We still got Scott on the line. You can hold that up to a microphone somewhere, and he can.
I wonder if that's catchy.
What do you got, Scotty? What do you got? I don't know. As far as your this Elvis expert.
Well, the guy's almost unstumpable.
He is almost unstumpable, but I'll tell you, we're gonna load it up sometime. We can get you in here, and we're just gonna have you go at it with him.
It's like we didn't scare this guy away. He might even do other shit.
Yeah. Usually people are like, I gotta do that.
We'll never stop until we get Sarah Palin on the show.
I have the entire list, and I have a list of songs Elvis is known to sing and never recorded.
Really?
Yeah, so.
Oh, yes. And every once in a while, I understand another recording will pop up where somebody had a cassette or player going where he was backstage.
Sometimes there'll be a songwriter who actually wrote the song, but then, like, Elvis didn't use it in the movie, so since he's the songwriter, he has the rights, and he got the copy.
Wow.
He released recently that way, that they found in an attic somewhere.
Hell, we might have the next George Klein show. He'll be clamoring on this place.
Well, I'll tell you that's a hell of a deal. So since Scott answered that, does he get those passes to Graceland now?
I don't know. We might have to hold him to that because you go there about 4 or 5 times a year.